Hey everybody, it's Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the One-Hand Mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we are working on a John Deere D110. Today I am going to show you the new mower deck that we're going to put on it and versus the old mower deck. And the reason why we're actually replacing this mower deck is many reasons. And the spindles, the spindle hubs are bent on both sides. He has a major weld problem here. This hanger came out. I see this a lot, and a lot of times we can actually weld it. Got both of these are bad. The mower deck belt is actually thin in spots, so we got to replace that. Then we have a major slice right here with the deck is bent back. And you can see by the blades, I wanted to show you new blades versus old blades, but this is his old blades and how they're bent. This is a new blade, and literally these blades ran until the blade went into the mower deck, and we would have to replace. These covers are very important to have on to keep your mower deck belt on, and these covers are worn through right here, and they do wear through, and new covers actually have metal inside here, and these are the old style covers, so when you would replace these, they would come with the new. They put studs in here to keep that from wearing, and if you don't have good covers, then the covers will deteriorate and then your belt will fall off. So it's very important to keep your covers on. And I just wanted to show you why we're replacing that mower deck. Basically, everything on the mower deck needs to be replaced. And price versus replacing the mower deck, they just wanted to go ahead and replace the mower deck. You could even see the one caster wheel right here. This has been bent out of its air. It's not straight anymore. You can see, looking down at it, it's crooked. The wheel's bad, so they have to replace. This one over here is just as bad. So everything would have to be replaced on this thing, and they're just going to go ahead and replace it. Now, the new deck, this is the unboxing of a new deck. And when I went to pick up the mower deck, they said it's going to be green. And I said, wow, so you're telling me the new mower decks are actually going to be the same mower decks as what you would find on the new series S100. And I looked it up online, and if you look up an S110, it's the exact same mower deck that is now going on the D110. And this tractor here is a 2012, and the reason why you see this, I'll take this out. This is you had to buy this with the mower deck because anything prior to 2015, now the year that I'm doing this is 2024, and the mower that I'm working on is a 2012. But as you can see, this is the blade engagement cable, and man, did they make this thing beefy. I know they've had issues with these cables breaking, and so I have a video on how to install this cable. I'm not going to bother you guys with showing you how to install this. This is basically a video about the new mower deck, and so you guys, if you're looking to buy a new mower deck for your D100, E100, or I guess it's anything with a 42C deck, you can see how big this spring is. Like, they don't want it to break again. Let's go show you what the other one looked like on the machine. So we're going to replace this style. This is the newest style. This is a newer style, and the old style was a thin spring with a loop on it. So they don't even like how this. I mean, I don't quite understand how that would actually stay on very well. But this, obviously, when you push it down over the hole, it's going to stay in it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in off camera just so we can get it done. The year they said the break was 2015, and if you look right here, the date of manufacturing is right there, and this one is a February 20th of 2012. So this one actually fell in that range. Anything prior to 2015, you have to get this cable. All right, and it's definitely a beefy cable. Now I had to put this up out of the way right here. I'm just hanging on here, actually, just so we can push the mower deck under. Okay, so I have not opened this up yet, and just be careful when you. These straps they're very tight, and they're not metal. It's just a plastic, but they're gonna snap away. So be careful. So there it is. I can already tell you, you guys aren't gonna like how big that deflector is. It's crazy. It's twice the size of the other one, it looks like. And I did not know that it came with, why do you only have one hanger? It comes with everything. Covers are upgraded. They have a steel rod in the center right there instead of being plastic now. So that's the upgrade there. Doesn't look like, I mean, the pulleys look the same as they used to be. Everything pretty much looks the same as it was. Now these are stoppers, so when the mower deck comes up to the highest position, it'll hit the frame and go no further, because I guess in the past you'd have the mower decks coming up higher than it should and hitting the engine pulley. I have seen that. The adjuster wheels all the way up, but they leave them loose, because I'm actually gonna bring them down a little bit, just so I'm gonna bring it down one hole. So I'm gonna move this one to the second hole down, because I call them anti-scout wheels. You do have different positions. You can go ahead and look in your manual on how to, they have a certain method of putting these in here with the measurements. All I do is put the anti-scout wheels right below the mower deck to where I like it. I'll show you that in a minute. And that's why they leave them loose. Now, as far as the blades and underneath here, it's the same blades as they used to use, looks like it. And I'm checking right here, is I'm checking in the middle to see if the side to side is coming by even right across. And I have a video on how to straighten your mower deck. And believe it or not, there is a little teeny gap right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm looking at here. There, that gap right there, it's actually not even. How about that? I'm not real impressed with that. The blades, okay, so the blades are not perfect when they're made, when they're stamped from the factory. It's pretty darn close when I flipped it around. So this one here had a little more gap, and this one here, here it is. You gotta see it from here. And that one's a little better, but there's still a gap. I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna go out and run it and see if see what that cut's gonna look like. But I also have a video on how to straighten a deck that is actually bent, and I'll put that in the link in the description below. But yeah, now these hubs, they look like the same hubs as the old ones. Now I'm actually gonna take off the covers. I'm going to take off these covers here and put grease in the hubs. And they give you an installation instructions manual for the 42 and 48 and the 54. Okay, so I was mentioning when I opened it up that they only had one P-hook, as they call it, in here. And John Deere really messed up on this one, because you guys saw me open up the box. I did not touch anything. And you're supposed to have parts in kit. P-hook, 2. Lift trunnion, with the trunnion is this. You get 2 of them. 2 locking nuts, which is that. The flange, small lock nut flange. Not sure what they're talking about that, because this one doesn't need a lock nut. But flat washers and shoulder bolt. None of this came with this kit, but this instruction is with there. We got 1 P-hook. We should have at least two P-hooks that are identical to this. So the good thing is you can use your other one, which I'm going to use from the tractor itself. But they didn't give us the parts in the kit, but they gave the instructions. And this is other stuff for miscellaneous tractors that we're not working on, so you can read that if you need it. This is like for the Sabre and the Scotts. But I'm going to go ahead, and I luckily didn't think that these came in the kit, and I bought the trunnion from the John Deere dealership. So if you need to buy the trunnions, which is this part right here, and as you can see how bad this has actually been hammered. This is most likely from the deck running on its wheels. The anti-scout wheels are there just exactly that, the anti-scout. When you start getting the deck beat up a lot is when you start either one, hitting the ground a lot, and these things get jostled around, and that's just wear and tear. So I luckily got one of these from the John Deere. I think I didn't tell you the part number. It's a GX21718. That's GX21718, and that'll give us the trunnion, as they call it. And this is a 15mm nut. We're just going to go ahead and take this off. Put it back on. Power tools is the way to go if you're going to do work on your stuff. It makes it so much easier, but that's a 15 millimeter. Slide the old one off, new one on. I'm going to put this back down. And if the locking nut goes on by hand, like if you get to the locking nut, this is a nylon locking nut at the end, and if it doesn't get tight, you're going to have to replace that. And this one's actually nice and tight, because that's what keeps the adjustment on your side to side on your mower deck. So there we go. So we're going to have to use this one. So let's get to it. We're going to go ahead and throw these on. But I also noticed that, so the hangers that are on your deck, okay, and they go a certain way. The way they're on there, they don't go both ways. So remember how they are, but we have to take these and put them over there. The inside's a 13, the nut, and then it's a 15 on the outside millimeter. This actually has the original, they have a washer, a spring washer there. You don't see that too much. And then that's a shoulder bolt. And then we're gonna go take this around. Okay, got them on. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the wheels. They're up at the highest spot. You don't want to leave them on the highest because then they're not anti-scalping. So I'm going to put them one notch down. And these are 15 millimeter for both sides. Okay, so now I put it down one hole. I just want this wheel to be right below, or right below the deck. So when you hit something in the yard, it's going to hit this first before it hits your deck. There are different holes, yes, and I just, through all the years of doing this, I just put them down to where they're right below the deck, so you know you're gonna hit the ground before the deck hits the ground, and that'll keep it from scalping. Both sides are like that, as you can see. We have supports on for the hanger supports now. Okay, so before I push this under, we're gonna take these covers off and see if they have grease fittings on the mandrels, and I'm pretty sure they probably will. And they're gonna be underneath here, and they do. Okay, so you see this direct fitting right here? They do that for a reason. And I know everybody out there says, oh, you don't need to grease your hubs because they're sealed bearings. Trust me, you can do what you want. But in my opinion, and I know as a fact, that grease will penetrate through those seals that are, you have a bearing on top and a bearing on the bottom. Inside this hub, it's empty right now. Pretty much all you have to do is engage the mower deck, take off your belt, spin this pulley, and you can listen. There's absolutely no grease in there at all. So you want to have that hub, and this is my opinion, but fill that hub up full of grease. And it may take probably a half a tube of grease, and I'm going to sit here and pump it until I feel it get stiff. And I pump them until the pulley, oh, I just felt it. Let me see if it I might have just hit a spot, but it was a little too quick to be full. All right, it's also slowing down. Yep, so it's not spinning as fast as it used to. That means the hub's getting full. I'm gonna go ahead and pump it up some more. Oh, I can feel it getting stiff again. Now that got pretty stiff. I don't want to go too crazy because I don't want it squirting all over the place. Engage the blade. Okay, so now it hardly spins. That means we're full. I'm going to say they probably it didn't take that long, so maybe the cavity in there is getting smaller, but it didn't take very long to get grease on there. I'll go ahead and do the other side. This one here on the right side, which is the chute side, you can see it right here. And if you take the belt off, engage the blade just by pushing this pulley, and then you can I mean, it spins pretty freely right there. I mean, real free. Actually, that pulley is not quite as straight as I like it to be. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pump that up full of grease. And the other reason why you do this is to keep moisture out of that hub. We're going to put the covers back on. Make sure your belts are on the pulleys before you put the covers on. Because once the cover is on, the belt should not fall off. And there is a right and left cover, so make sure you get them right. I don't think you can mess that up. I think there's 3 bolts for one and 2 bolts for the other. And if you're doing this with an electric gun, make sure you slow down at the end. Because you just want it to touch. If you go too hard on this, you crack the plastic. This belt feels real heavy duty too, which is nice. I definitely like the OEM belts. Let's go ahead and put this under. And if you have the hanger sitting out like this, make sure you flip it over or you will make the mistake. And actually right here too, I made the mistake of you can't get the hanger stuck on the brake. So I have to engage the mower again to get that up out of there. And then I have to get the mower deck around, make sure that's all good before you put it under there. Make sure you can pick them up. Make sure your cable's up out of the way, your new PTO engagement cable. Okay, now before I slide it all the way under here, okay, so I wanted to show you here, everybody's asking about what hole you should go in. I had to get a flashlight, but they painted over this, it says hydro, and I'm assuming it's this hole here. So this is a hydrostatic transmission, and I would assume that maybe the gear transmissions go here, but they have it says AU right there, and I'm not sure if there was something there, but I don't know if you guys actually might have seen it better with without my flashlight. Oh, there you can see it. Okay, and then it has some numbers over here, and that might be just the number of this part that's welded to the deck, but it says right here hydro. So I'm not sure if the hydro, this plate is made for this deck and they welded it on there and it says hydro, or you put the front rod in this hole. Well, let's go ahead and look at the other deck. And this other deck has 2 holes here too, but they had it in the front hole also. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the front hole, and we can always change it from there. But here is this is the front rod. We're going to go ahead and slide this under. Now actually, before I slide it under, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. If we can do it now, you have to go underneath. And I'm looking at all these part numbers that are actually stamped in these, like this bracket. And there's a part number here. So I think that was a part number on the bracket on the front of the mower deck. I think everything has part numbers now. Like back in the day, you wouldn't see that. Now this here goes underneath your blade belt, your brakes, and then there's a very large slot now in the arm. And this slot, this slot right here, we're gonna go ahead and push down on this. And if you have to, like it doesn't just quite go in very easily, push the spring in the middle and then it should pop down. So when you take this off, you may have to make that spring bend and then get it to come off. So bend it in the center, and this is going to be easier, but hold your finger up on the top of the hook, bend it in the center, and it'll come off. Put it in there, bend it in the center, and actually moving this out a little bit might help you, but I'm just going to go ahead and push it in the center, and it pops in. Not real easy to come out or on, but that's the whole point. They had problems with these things breaking. They had problems with these things going, you know, just falling off. And let's see here. Yeah, this would not have worked because that slot right there is so big. This would have just fell out. So if you guys have a problem with your mower deck and you maybe purchase an arm and the arm has a big slot in it, obviously that's not going to work anymore. That'll just fall out. So we had to replace that cable. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and slide it under. Now, you also have the bracket here that this will go into and it clips in. Turn sideways. Now, it doesn't have a clip, you have to have a pin. A pin has to go in here, and they did not supply it with the pin. So I think he has one, yeah, this one right here. This is the pin that came out of the old one right here. So we'll go ahead and put this in while the mower deck is out. And I'm going from forward to backward because, let me just see what we got, holes in the top. Okay, so I went from forward to backward and put the clip pin in. Now this won't come out. Okay, so we have the cable on, we have it pushed in. We're gonna go ahead and use the top hole for the hanger in the front. And then we're gonna go ahead and just roll the tractor back a little bit. We're gonna put it right in that first hole. I'm using the pins from the other mower, just from forward to backward. And the reason why I say you're putting your pin in forward to backward is that rearward is that if you're going forward and you hit something, it'll push the pin in. But if you have it facing this way, it could pop out if you hit something. And we do 90% of our driving is in forward. So while we're under here, we have the brand new belt. You have a little J hook right here, a little U hook. And that's what keeps the mower deck belt in. So we're just gonna go ahead and put that in like that. Go around the other side. I'm just running my hand around the other side and I'm flipping it up into it. We'll go ahead and check that out to make sure it's in properly once we get over to the other side. And then we can come back here to our middle hanger, which is here. And we have to find we got the stud up there that this goes on. All right, and I'm gonna put that in here. Now there is with this cable right here, there's underneath here, they do show a little hanging, this is actually for this little bracket here. It's a plastic bracket that clips in, so like that. So you can put the blade engagement cable there. Now, if you feel that the blade engaging is actually hard to do when it's up here like this, I have taken these off and putting it down on the mower deck like that and left it like this, because sometimes it's just too much kink. And then it's hard to engage the mower deck belt itself. The cable gets a little kinked up. But let's go ahead and put the washer on. Like so. And then forward to rearward. I'm gonna put the pin in. Like so. All right, and then that little bracket here, just push the top with your finger and then it opens up. We'll go ahead and put the cable in. Not sure if that's going to be the best place for us right now, but that's where it's supposed to go. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to take our brand new adjuster. It's like a little puzzle. You find the opening down here on the deck. You got to make sure it goes in like a 90 degrees. It goes up. And actually, your P hook is going to face rearward. And I'm going to have to pick up the mower deck a little bit to get it to hang. And make sure your mower deck is all the way on the lowest position for height. Then we have a big washer here. And you're going to put your pin in. This one pretty much goes in straight up and down. Sometimes you got to find where it's at. Like that. Just push it down in on there like that. I'm going to go around to the other side. Now we have two hangers here. I'm gonna go ahead and use I put the new trunnion on the old hanger. I'm gonna put this on, but first, before I do that, I'm gonna go under and put the middle hanger up. Put it on there. And a washer. Put the hanger on with the new trunnion. 90 degrees up. It's going to be facing rearward, the P. Pick up the mower deck a little bit just so it hangs. Washer. And pin. Now we're going to go up front and look at the belt just to make sure I have it on the engine pulley correctly, which is on this side. I put that on from the other side. You also have another J hook here, and you have to be on the inside. Now make sure that everything on your mower deck is in place. Okay, so once you have your belt, which you think is all correct, you want to engage the mower deck. Now, the engagement on the mower deck feels really good as far as the way I put the cable like that. So I think you guys will be all right by putting the cable back where it should go. And then you come under and just make sure that your belt is exactly the way it should be. Put your fingers back here, make sure the belt's on both sides of the pulleys, make sure they're here, make sure they're not rubbing up here on both sides of your J hooks here. And then you can disengage it, because you have to disengage it before your tractor will start. Now, I'm gonna put a link in the description below on how to level the mower deck. We're gonna go outside and run it, and then come back in and level the mower deck out. So that's pretty much it for a brand new John Deere mower deck on a D100 series. Okay, so I wanted to close out this video and thank you all for watching, but I have to tell you, I'm not impressed with what I just found. I took it out and ran it, which is fine, but what I found was underneath here, where they give you those bump stops, which I told you about. Okay, so the bump stop on the right side here, this actually hits the brake rod for the D110. So I'm gonna have to pull this mower deck off, take that out. And yeah, that's unfortunate, because I was wondering why it wasn't coming all the way up to the height that I wanted it to when I pulled the mower deck all the way up, and that's why. It's because this bump stop was hitting actually the brake. And I'm pretty sure everything is, the brake rod is where it should be. Shouldn't have to move that at all. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up. And give me your guys' opinions on that green versus yellow. I actually kind of like it. I'm so used to the yellow mower deck. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.